If you don't know how this works, it's pretty simple. If we like something, we give it an upvote. If we dislike something, we give it a downvote. And at the end of the review, we're going to average those two numbers and come up with an official Popcast score. We are reviewing Episode 7, Season 3, the final season of Star Trek Picard, titled Dominion.
All right, with only 3 episodes left, guys, we are approaching the climax of Star Trek Picard Season 3, and things are moving quickly. So we're going to get into this. Last week's episode ended with Geordi and Data being reconnected with the TNG family, and Riker being captured only to find out Vadic already has Deanna. We also learned that the thing the Changelings stole from Daystrom Station was Picard's body. So with Frontier Day now imminent, what is our old crew going to do to stop whatever's about to happen, save Will and Deanna at the same time? And so let's go.
Dun,
What do we got here first?
dun.
I love the intro. Where are we at here? Oh yeah. So I love this. Like, one of the things about this show that I absolutely love, and I want to give it a upvote right away, is I love their intros. Okay, so Terry and the team have done these gorgeous like space shots through this entire show, and then we get some sort of music or something happening. In this scene right here, we get this like eerie whistling.
Pop
and
goes
it's
the weasel.
actually Pop Goes the Weasel,
Yeah.
right?
Sorry.
And then it kind of goes over all this space junk floating around, and we realize that they're here in the Chintoka scrapyard.
Chintoka scrapyard.
Chintoka scrapyard. So the Chintoka, this is what's really cool. So this is why I love the way they do this stuff. You guys may not know what the Chintoka thing is, right? So the Chintoka scrapyard is a leftover from the Chintoka war, Chintoka battle, which happened during the Dominion War. There were 2 battles that happened during the Dominion War at Chintoka. The second one, the Federation lost all but one of 312 Allied ships. It was a major defeat.
Apparently it was 3 blind mice. My bad about that, guys.
What would you say?
I said Pop Goes the Weasel.
No, that was the old song. This one's 3 blind mice.
Oh, real quick, Big Worm for Super Chat for $20. Thank you, Big Worm. The reason it is releasing in the middle of the night, they got to spread out the load of everyone watching it. It doesn't have to do with the date. It has to do with the burst bandwidth needed. Source, I Design Systems.
That's great.
That's good to know. Yeah.
Big Worm, thank you. That makes so much sense.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, because I just saw on the news that Rumble crashed because some big YouTuber started a stream over there, and I guess they had like 400,000 people watching at the same time, and Rumble couldn't keep up.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, not everybody is Google. So, and I think Paramount now, it is interesting that he mentions that, and that's really great information. He designs them. I trust his opinion. So why is it that HBO can? Do they not have as many viewers? So because some of the other streaming services are able to do that.
Well, Netflix is like literally like designed from the ground up for that purpose, right?
Right. Yeah.
And I suppose Paramount Plus should be too, but maybe Paramount Plus just doesn't, they didn't put enough system reserves or resources into it,
Remember, they started out as CBS. So it was actually a CBS app, All Access.
And it was actually the same app that was on Roku, and they just monetized it. They didn't even change the system.
Right. So what happened was CBS was still counting on their cable stuff, and the app was really just for people extra stuff. So when they first created the app, they probably didn't create it with dynamically enough. So when Paramount Plus took it over and rebranded it, they probably didn't change the skeleton. And I bet that's why they're having problems.
Yeah, I would like to know more about that, because I'm a systems nerd, but I don't know exactly how it works. I do know that like bandwidth is hyper important, and our own websites have dedicated servers, and we have the same problem when it comes to like a lot of people coming from like one of our videos to buy a t-shirt or something. It often just like, if we have a really popular video and a lot of people go to that site at the same time, our servers struggle, and like they lag, and they sometimes just restart.
Yeah, right. Kenneth LaRoque, super chat here. Thank you, Kenneth. Longtime member. Love you, man. $5.50. So what video are you guys releasing on Saturday the 1st? It's funny you mentioned that, Ken, because somebody gave us a suggestion for an April Fool's video.
Yeah.
And they said, listen, you guys should like just say that like Legacy Trek is happening, like, and that Paramount has greenlit it. and then and just get everybody excited about it, and then go, oh yeah, sorry, April Fools. I'm like, you realize people would kill us.
Yeah,
right?
no.
We would not survive. That
people will come to our house.
So yeah, we won't be putting out that video. So we'll figure out something fun. I'm sure
we're gonna do something fun, but we don't know what it's gonna be yet. We had a lot of ideas going on. We every year, and this plagues us, Shane. Every year I want to do an April Fool's thing. Every single year, and every year we're so busy around this time that always becomes like not even secondary. It's like maybe if there's nothing else to do for 12 hours. You know,
right.
Because that would be hilarious. But, dude, I'd be mad at myself.
You know, as angry as like the world is right now with everybody, it's like I wonder, like people are really going to take April Fool's jokes wrong. You know, like you can see people like imploding. You know,
oh my god!
But we'll figure out something good. That's a good one, Ken. Thank you.
Archmage has the best idea. Okay, I'm gonna dress up as Doomcock and release a Doomcock video praising Picard.
Oh my god!
Season
that
3
would
of
be
Picard
funny.
is
okay, let's
fantastic.
Save that. Let's save that for after the review.
All right, we'll talk about that in the members. So
we're gonna talk.
Yeah, now I'm gonna have to cut this, guys, for the clip. Damn it.
Yeah, who cares? Leave it in.
All right, back for this. Yeah, Chintoka scrapyard.
Oh, so yeah, so this basically this is a great Easter egg, Roddenberry we like to call it, for DS9, and it's all connected to the Dominion War, which is, I mean, think about it. Picard season 3 is essentially, and we especially learn in this episode, it's an extension of what happened to the Dominion War. We have this this branch of changelings who are kind of, you know, doing their own thing outside of the Great Link, and they're angry. And so it makes sense that they would be hiding amongst a scrapyard full of ships that were destroyed during the war of which is happening. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
Really great touch for the production team. And this episode was most of the Picard season 3 episodes. I do think they have like a writer, but they really collaborate as a writing team on a lot of their stuff. So you don't go like, hey, this is like one person's episode and boom, it's all of theirs. But this is one of those episodes where it actually was they give credit to one writer, Jane Maggs. They also have like anyways, Jane did a really great job this episode, and we haven't talked a lot about that person, and so hopefully going forward we can maybe get him on the show to talk about some stuff.
Yeah. We got a super chat from Jeremy Snyder. You want to read that for me?
Remember last April Fools when I deleted the entire live comment section? My falling asleep was epic.
Is that what happened?
All I know is that Jeremy is one of our wrenches, and it's fun to see what he does in there.
Okay. I just had an epic idea. Every time there's a Roddenberry, I'm going to pop up Roddenberry's face right here.
Oh, I like that. It's a great idea.
Roddenberry alert!
Miss you, Gene.
I'll have to make an actual animation for this at some point. This is fun. Roddenberry alert. Okay, moving on. And the big reveal.
Yeah, so we get this scene. Well, it was kind of cool because you heard it before you saw it. And I think that's what's awesome. When you get to the Titan's Bridge, you see Seven sitting in the chair. And you're like, oh, she's sitting in the captain's chair. But you heard a voice that she's talking to. And I'm like, oh, crap, right. I know that voice.
Right.
That's familiar. And then when it comes around to the view screen, you see it's Tuvok. You're like, oh, my God, it's Tuvok.
Yep.
You know, and it's like, I love Tuvok from Voyager.
Yeah.
So
not a fan of Tim Russ, but I do love Tuvok.
Well, you know, listen, Tim Russ has got his own opinions. That's all I can say.
That's true.
He's a little bit, he's an activist. Let's put it that way.
Right. So big upvote for me though, because
me too.
Just for the Roddenberry alone, or the cameo alone, I love Tuvok. I've always loved Tuvok. He's one of my favorite things about Voyager. Him and Seven. So seeing their relationship on screen again, you know, I don't know if we're gonna ever see that again. So this is pretty awesome.
Yeah, and it's funny because it's more than just like a member berry or fan service. A lot of people go, oh, fan service. No, I mean, he's playing a specific role. So this is Captain Tuvok, okay? And he's involved with Starfleet security, right? And also they talk about some things that happen. So Seven mentions the Kal-toh game they played. She's trying to figure out whether he's a changeling.
Right.
Now, remember, we had the Kal-toh from episode 4 in one of the episodes, actually in one of the quarters.
Right. In that moment, when he answers her correctly, and he's like, "I enjoyed our games of Kal-toh." I'm not saying it right. If I recall, you won a lot, and the Voyager music starts to play in the background. Big ol' upvote from me, dog. That was amazing.
Seven smiles.
Right.
And you're like, oh, it's the real Tuvok. But this is what I love. This is where my upvote comes in. My upvote comes in because Seven. This is what you got to love about Seven. And if you give me the upvote, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
What I love about Seven is that she's like, yes, this is probably the real Tuvok, but she's like, but I don't trust that shit.
Right.
Like, she will not, just give in to anything. So she continues to test him, even after that, even knowing he might be the real thing. And then she, of course, finds out that he's an imposter, and then we get a smile, like this little, like a minuscule smile that you would never get from Tuvok,
Right.
And you realize it's an imposter.
Dude, when he breaks bad, it's awesome though, because he's like,
Right.
Oh man, it was great. That's another upvote from me. That was what a strong way to open up the episode, because the episode does have a lot more exposition this episode, but this was a strong opening.
Right, and the reason why it's not, and I'll repeat again, the reason why it's not just a member-berry fan service, because it has to do with the story. If they had just thrown on like an old character from somewhere and they're just like having a random chatty conversation that has nothing to do with the plot, nothing to do with the story, then that's the fan service that people complain about. This is not fan service. This is moving the plot forward while giving the fans something that makes them happy. So it's, I think it's important.
Yeah, at least it wasn't Tuvix. That's a great point.
No, we can't. It can't be Tuvix. But Plato Tuvok here. That's what I'm calling him. Plato Tuvok.
Plato.
They're using this channel to talking to each other to start tracing where the Titan is, and all of a sudden, Geordi and Captain Shaw can't turn off the tracker that's happening on them, and they're desperately trying to do it. Otherwise, they're going to find him. And then Picard comes at Tuvok, or Changeling Tuvok, and he's like, "Tell us where Riker is." Blah blah blah. And of course, the same theme we've gotten through this entire episode is, "Oh, you guys are going to be dead." And we kept hearing that over and over again from a lot of the Changelings. You got a lot of revenge talk in this episode, and we get this interesting, sickly looking Riker. It was a good scene, nice, and got the energy up, the juices flowing.
I'm already dead, Picard. Good.
Yeah,
it's good, real good. Okay, and then the intro.
And well, it's funny because at the end of that, real quick, you don't have to go back, but Geordi basically says, I mean, there's a little bit of defeatism happening here. Geordi says maybe we should just accept that there's nothing we can do about it, and then Patrick Stewart says something to the effect of, "We're running out of time." So it actually kind of ends us on like a little bit of a desperate note going into the episode, letting us know that they're not in a good situation at all. They're running, they're hiding constantly. It's not good.
Right. I just read something in the chat that made me laugh. Yeah, you know what I like too is he was like, we can't keep hiding in abandoned shipyards or whatever, and like they're running out of space, so they got to make a decision fairly quickly on what to do.
Yeah.
Okay, man. Yeah. Okay. So what's going on?
Okay.
Here?
So in this scene right here, you want me to break it down?
Yeah, break it down.
So we're in the operations room, and we learn here that Worf and Rafi are at Exoport. They're monitoring Starfleet security, and they've confirmed also, because we didn't get the information we wanted from the Changeling, they've also confirmed that there's no mention of Riker in Starfleet security. And we also learned that Worf and Rafi are on their way back to the Titan. We don't get any Worf and Rafi this episode. No Worf, no Rafi, no Riker, no Deanna this episode. But I don't feel like we miss them.
No.
Because the action is so good.
Yeah, there's a lot going on the ship. Like, what have we been asking, though, for like 5 episodes? We constantly said, can we just get back to the ship?
Right.
Can we get back to the ship? Well, we're on the ship the entire episode, so.
Definitely. So Geordi's having a hard time. You're a little forward on me. So Geordi's having a hard time keeping them hidden, and Picard's running out of time. Beverly says the changelings are unique, and maybe they can use that uniqueness against them by finding a tool that will help them root them out. That's like her idea. But she's also concerned, and this becomes a theme in this episode, she's concerned about crossing the line and end up, in order to defeat them, having to do something like the virus that Starfleet did originally, which was almost like genocide and not a good thing, right?
Right.
Although in war, it's hard to tell, like, how far do you take something, right?
Yeah, I that episode, I actually watched it recently when we were doing the Kirk video, and the thing is, Odo, not like it wasn't cool to infect Odo, your ally, in order to infect the Great Link. However, the doctor, Bashir, whatever his name is, does say, look, I don't think they meant to kill you or infect you with symptoms. I think the purpose was for him to be a carrier, because they're in a war that, like, the Starfleet was, like, we were losing.
Right.
We were losing the war. So you're dealing with this enemy who's not playing the same rules as you. It's not like they're playing by the same rules. They can shapeshift and be whoever they want.
Right. So it's more detailed. And when you look back through the lens of, oh, well, it was wrong to destroy an entire race, it's like, well, was that race trying to destroy you? And at what point is there a morality clause? And everybody's got a different thought process on it. So I think in this episode, we get this theme of whether it's right to do whatever it takes to save yourself. And, I know in my life it is. I'm going to do whatever it takes, to make sure that my survival continues. And we get that unique perspective coming up. I don't want to ruin it yet, but we do get that perspective from the changelings as well.
Right. Yeah. Archmage says, do you commit genocide in order to prevent your own genocide? Do you kill it in order to prevent being killed? Yes. If someone came into my house and he wanted to kill me, I'm going to kill him first. Right.
You do. But as a Starfleet principle, as a Federation principle, I don't. That's a bigger question that's not something that they typically have had to deal with in Star Trek. And so I think it's an interesting dynamic that they're talking about it, trying to figure out, at what point is it okay to do whatever it takes to win?
Well, I mean, so is the enemy doing whatever it takes? Like, that's the question. Like, when are terrorists following the Geneva rules of convention? No.
Right. No, that's a good point. I mean, listen, that's not an argument that we can settle here. Everybody's going to have a different viewpoint on it. Ultimately, and this happens in the episode as well, it's all about survival. Laura ends up telling us that.
Yes.
And so let's move on with a little more.
Laura's take this episode was actually great.
Yeah, it really was. So we get to Data here, and we find out that Alondra's been making progress working on Data. I like this. She's an engineer. Geordi's an engineer. I like that she's there with Geordi, helping him work on Data. That's part of the whole next generation thing that we've been talking about. They've identified the source of the problem, and as they turn him on, we get somewhat the Data we remember. He recognizes that they're not on the Enterprise and asks about the scimitar. Okay, so if you guys remember the scimitar, that goes back to the last time Data was actually alive. I'm not down with the whole Picard season 1 Data stuff. I don't feel like Data died at Nemesis.
Yeah. So here's the deal. And this is why Picard, and even though I didn't like Picard season 1, I'm with you. This is why it can exist, and my headcanon can also exist in the same space. Because the version of Data we had in Picard season 1 was just a copy on a memory stick.
Well, it was this version of Data, right? Because this is Soong we're talking about here. So isn't this the same version of Data we had?
No, because this is the version of Data that he pulled out of before.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so yeah, this is before's Data, and the Soong Data. Which Data did Soong have in Picard season 1?
That was some kind of copy or whatever. That was a copy
From
of
what?
a copy of some engrams. Like, they had this like really crazy.
I know, but was it from before's copy? Was it? Where did that come from?
Someone needs to tell me. I don't think it was. I think it was
it was just weird. He was like in this machine. Anyways, I tend to like.
He was like a program. He was a program running on a computer.
It was strange. So this to me feels good. So Nemesis, the last thing Data remembers, he's awake, and the last thing he remembers is, what about the scimitar? Because on the scimitar, he sacrifices himself to save Picard, blows up the scimitar, which was, if you guys recall, that was Shinzon's warship, as well as a massive Thalaron radiation-based weapon. Okay, and Data sacrificed himself to destroy it. He shot it with a phaser. The thing blows up. Picard's safely off.
Yeah,
Data's
he teleported Picard against his will. Remember?
Yes, he did.
That was awesome. That was the one good thing about that movie.
And here, look at this. And I love it. Like, this essentially kind of like retcons everything that's happened before.
Right.
If the first thing Data remembers is what happened at Nemesis, then that's in what we like about this is the next thing really for us that's happened to the TNG crew.
Right.
Since Nemesis.
Right.
So upvote for me here, please.
Yeah, I'm gonna upvote too. It's not even like, oh, we're just ignoring season 1. It's more like that just doesn't fall into this story. The great thing about this, someone did mention on I think on our Discord, another plug of our Discord. I think it was our Discord. Well, they mentioned, or maybe it was Reddit, but they mentioned, like, how would he know about the Scimitar if he copied himself into before going to the Scimitar? Well, he also has Before's memories too. And it was conveyed to Before at the end of that movie what happened to Data.
That is a good question, though. I mean, I love the way Star Trek fans look at things, and they're like, but wait a second, wasn't he destroyed? Yeah, that's good. Now, it's cool when another Star Trek fan can kind of explain it and bridge the gap, and then whether we believe it or not or agree is kind of where the fun argument takes place. So
right.
So continuing on here, so it looks like, so here's what's happened. So it looks like the Lao and the Soong files. So Lao, Data's daughter, and Alton Soong, who's got some of his memories in here.
And by the way, guys, Shane said Lao, not Lore. Lao. Just for the 14 comments that yelled at us about Lore not being Data's daughter. He said Lao, not Lore. Sorry, go ahead, Shane.
I say Lore before?
No, because there's similar words. We had a bunch of comments of people yelling about Lore not being his daughter.
Well, it's Lal. So Lal is Data's daughter, right? And her, personality was downloaded into Data.
Right.
So, but what's interesting is that Soong and Lal's personalities are, the way it's described, is they're information files.
They're partitioned or whatever, right?
Well, yeah, but they don't seem to have like the control factor. Like they can't be in control. So it looks like that Data and Lore are partitioned, but they're like the C drive or whatever.
D drive. Yeah, they're the main drive. Like they're the process. They're like the partition C, partition D, and they're in control of the operating system. This is awesome because this is also how a lot of people are. Like everyone has got a little bit of good, a little bit of bad, right? Like you have the yin and the yang. That's what yin and yang means. It means that there's a little bit of good and bad. There's a little bit of bad and good. Like nothing is black and white. I love like this dichotomy of the two characters and how it's literally represented here on screen as right and left brains. That's awesome.
Yeah, no, it's cool. And I think what's interesting is so Soong, what Geordi hypothesizes is that Soong was hoping that the two personalities of Data and Lore would merge and create that more human personality that Data always wanted. So I think the idea was Soong to have, because remember in the video from last episode, he says it's a whole lot of Data. I think he hoped that this would be mostly Data, and Lore would bring in the human qualities that he needed, that Lore had. But he was afraid. The reason why a partition exists is because he was afraid that Lore would be so strong that he would basically eliminate Data.
Right.
And then we would end up with just Lore. So they have to figure out how to, they want to get Data working again so they can solve some of these mysteries. But in order to do that, they might lose Data.
This was the answer in season 1. It was one neuron from Data's exploded body that Bruce Maddox somehow retrieved.
Downvote that. Can we downvote that from episode 1 again? Look at Picard seasons 1 and 2 was Picard's story in some alternate thing. To me, this is the first story after.
I just thought it was like a dream that Picard had. That is Chateau Picard.
And look, it happened. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you go back and try to pick out some of the things on it, look, we got Q in season 2. Made me happy to see.
We did get Q. That was good.
Made me happy to see Q, man.
I'm always happy when I see Q.
I agree. Agreed.
Yeah. I hope when I die, Q is looking over my body as I hopefully ascend and not descend to wherever the afterlife is.
Brian, Q is not real. unless you're talking about the guys over in the comedy group Q.
Wait, Q's not real? Who have I been praying to all these years?
Q's not real, bud. All right, just
son of a. All right,
that's great.
go ahead. Right, so he's worried that he's going to take the partition down, and Laura's going to take over.
Right.
And it's like having Windows 7 and Windows 10 dual boot. Thank you, Melinda. All right.
So now we, after this scene's over, we end up over on the Shrike. Oh, and this is kind of a really nice moment here, or not a nice moment. It's an emotional moment. And this is, guys, this is the thing that I wonder if some of the people who are complaining about Picard season 3, the thing that bothers them is that the fact that the characters have emotions. Because I know that was a big problem in some of the old Star Trek shows, is like there was people with constant like mental stress and drama. And so I get that, but that was the mental stress and drama taking over the episodes. Like that controlled the episode. It wasn't the characters. And so you've got Picard here who Data is basically saying, help me. And like right now he's saying, help me. And it's like tearing Jean-Luc apart. And, you know, that's a very real human reaction to an actual problem that's happening and not some sort of, you know, mental issue.
Listen, emotion is good when you're telling a story. It's not good when it becomes so prevalent that the ship is having an emotional.
Right. Yeah. Then it becomes about
when the ship has to take a mental health day because it's having issues. That's when you've gone too far.
Right. So all of you guys that are on the fence and are saying, "Oh, well, this is just more of the same stuff," it's not. So yes, this is an extraordinarily emotional moment. You know, Picard is under duress because his friend, this android that he loves, is in distress and is basically being tormented. And so he's like, turn it off, right? So there's nothing wrong with that. And if you need to be able to separate those two things, and you need to be able to identify the difference between the two things. Is it forwarding the story? Is it forwarding the characters? Right. Or are we just sitting here crying in our own, wallowing in our own misery for no reason whatsoever? There's a difference. And if you guys aren't sure what that difference is, just keep coming here and we'll keep telling you.
Yes. Kapla.
Okay, over on the Shrike, weird demon Vatican is back. I got to tell you, man. It looks to me, that looks to me like a tri-tip. I have yet to remove all the fat off.
No, yeah, it's an untrimmed tri-tip.
It does. It looks
it's
like
the most efficient way to buy meat. It's a $3.99 a pound untrimmed tri-tip from Stater Brothers. That's what exactly that is.
No joke. I wanted to grill something as soon as I saw this.
I had the same thought. That's crazy. The minute I saw that, I'm like, do I have meat in the freezer? Can I defrost something? I'm really thinking about
sponsored by Albertsons, right? Yeah, no, that's fantastic.
I mean, it's a testament to the graphics. I mean, it's literally it's a body part, so it makes sense.
Yeah, you know what's interesting is, so we're 7 episodes in, and we have no idea what this is yet so far. And it's such. I'm so glad that we have mysteries with which to still ponder. This time he tells like a weird story. I kind of had a hard time understanding what he was saying.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was my copy that I was looking at when I did the preview early on. But I had a really hard time kind of understanding him. I didn't have subtitles, but what I got from it was she was saying like, look, you know, we can't find him. We're having a hard time finding him. And he's like, you have to think of the Picard with Picard as one unit and separate themselves. So it was like a changeling, like, maybe analogy.
Yeah, the thing is, we had screeners and they don't have subtitles and they're really low quality. But yes,
right.
You're exactly. He was basically saying you have to. The analogy was like he was trying to get her to get over her own idea of the way things work biology wise.
Right. Now, in the last time he talked to her, he was basically like, look, I'm going to kill you and everything that you own, and I'm going to destroy your ship, and I'm going to... This time he was like a little more reasonable with her. Like, still like, look, fine, Jack. But it was like a little bit more like, maybe he sees that her threads are coming undone.
I don't think so. I don't think it was reasonable. I think it was like, it literally said, your physiology is not as special or as complex as you think. He was like, I think he was threatening to just like rip her apart.
That's a good. Well, I don't think. Well, okay. What we learn in the episode is that her physiology is special.
Right, but but it is telling it that even though she thinks it's special because of what she's gone through, he'll
still destroy her.
Yeah, it's still gonna kill her and her whole family.
Yeah, so I think it's interesting, and I'm really glad that they kind of keep that a secret going forward. So that was really good. And you see,
can we start calling it Evil Odo? I like that, by the way, Bill.
Evil Odo?
Evil Odo, even though that's not what it is.
No, Odo was. I love Odo. I can't think of an evil Odo.
That's true. If the actor had not passed away, he would have 100% have been in this series.
I would actually suggest some things if I hadn't already seen the show, but there's a couple of characters that I could imagine it being. But I'm not going to say it because it could ruin things for you.
It's Tuvix. It's Tuvix.
It's not Tuvix.
That's the video. We need to make a video for Saturday where we explain our Tuvix theory.
No, we're not.
Please, can we do that?
April Fools.
Can we do a Tuvix theory video on Saturday?
I feel like we've been talking about it for years. It would just be like,
bro, okay, how about this? I'll never talk about Tuvix again if we make a Tuvix theory video.
Okay, I might do that then.
Okay.
If you promise and swear, like you got gag order, no more Tuvix.
In front of God and all of our fans here. If we release a video on April Fools about our Tuvix theory, I have a wild Tuvix theory.
I don't know how it relates to April 1st.
I will never, ever speak about Tuvix ever again publicly. I will still do it privately under my breath in shallow remarks. Tuvix.
It's a deal. It may not go out.
You were done wrong, Tuvix.
It may not go out April 1st though, because I don't see how it's related to April Fools.
Because because the theory is impossible.
Would it be like Tuvix is back on the thumbnail?
No, Tuvix is the villain of the series.
Not, or what?
He's the secret villain of this series, bro.
Oh my God, Tuvix is the villain of Picard season 3.
Tuvix is the big bad.
If Janeway was like the main person in this series, then I would be totally down for
that. My God, that'd be so brilliant, though.
Yeah, if Janeway was like the lead, that would be absolutely. If this was like Janeway instead of Picard, that would be yes.
Tuvix wants his revenge.
Right. Yes. I would totally be down with that.
That episode, like the dichotomy, like you put that episode up against the Warp Salamanders episode, right? Threshold.
Oh God, that's so bad.
Take the Tuvix episode and Threshold and put them against each other, right? Oh my God, Tuvix looks like fine art.
Oh, I know. Yes, it
because
does.
It was like the story was so the audience, everyone was ripped apart. They didn't know what to do.
I know.
Meanwhile, Salamander Paris and Salamander Janeway are banging on a planet somewhere after.
I try to forget that episode all the time. You constantly remind me. Okay,
that's what I always tell everyone. Like every series of Star Trek, every series has bad episodes. So
yeah.
Like there isn't. I've watched every episode of Star Trek ever made. There isn't a single series that is perfect through and through. There's not.
No. I'm still mostly enjoyable, except for the Salamander episode. That was absolutely horrible.
I actually have a theory about that too. I think it's one of the greatest episodes of television ever made.
Don't make theories about things we don't want to talk about.
It's scientifically accurate. Okay, they went forward in time, full reverse. It wasn't evolution. It was time is not linear. It's secular. They evolved so far that they devolved.
Yeah.
This is why Shane doesn't want to talk to me.
Like, what are you talking about? Okay, that's
Shane will call me and he'll call me about something about Shane. Like, all right, gotta talk to you about this. What's the plan for this? I'm like, yeah, listen. Did you see about this Tuvok theory? And he's like, no, I can't do this today, man.
That sounds like me. All right, let's keep going.
All right. We must have the boy.
Look at that piece of steak. Piece of meat. Got to just trim some of that fat, some of those eyebrows off. So she gets her hand back and she sits. Now she's brooding. I'm telling you, man, this guy's pushing her over the edge 100%. She's already like on the edge, but he's just pushing her over the top here. And you can tell she's very frustrated at the end of the scene.
Yeah. Her hand is yelling at her.
Damn you. I want you to Cook me like a steak. I don't know.
I said medium rare.
I'm so sorry, Gordon Ramsay.
What are you doing, you idiot? Sorry. Now this was interesting. Back on board the Titan, what did someone call this? La Crusher?
Oh, La Crush.
La Crush. So La Crush, the Crusher, LaForge shippers out there. They're in an elevator. He starts hearing her thoughts.
Yeah, but before he hears her thoughts, did you catch it at the very beginning? As the scene from Vadic rolls into this scene, there's a female voice.
Oh, yeah. I see it on
and the
subtitles
female
now.
voice, I believe what it says, it was really hard to understand, and I had no subtitles when I was looking at it, but I believe it says here, let me connect us.
Let me connect us.
Yeah, it was kind of like really quiet. And then it goes into this turbolift scene where really weird stuff starts happening, right? This is things we haven't seen before. Now Jack's like hearing people's thoughts.
Right.
So he starts to hear Sydney say, like, is he flirting with me? You know, he's kind of charming, you know, but he should touch my hand first. And then he touches her hand and she's like totally weirded out.
Yeah.
That just happened. Like,
I'd be weirded out too. First off, why are you touching my hand, bro? We've known each other for 5 minutes. Real quick, Brian Harvard for $1.99. Thank you for super chat, Brian. Am I crazy or does Brian sound like Chris Griffin? You're not crazy. Yeah. I actually do the voice of Chris Griffin.
No, it's not. He does the voice. He is the voice of Chris Griffin.
I'm the voice of Chris Griffin. People do not know that, but everyone thinks that it's Seth Green. But in reality, Seth Green hires me to do it for him. Plus, I have a speech impediment. That doesn't help.
That's honest pop culture. Can you give us a good Chris line? Do you have any?
Omega.
No, that's not the right one. It's his sister. Knock it off. What's wrong with you? Wow, really, guys, Brian Harvard, you really put Brian on the spot here, dude. Right? You like put him in a weird spot. He said something totally like unacceptable.
Too much Rule 34. Oh my God. I'm gonna stop now.
Moving on.
Thanks for that, bro.
Thanks for the break. Appreciate it.
Yeah, so he just like casually touches her hand in the most creepy way. And I mean, this is a new power for him, right? He probably wasn't aware that he could have this ability until now.
I mean, I don't even know if he recognizes it as a power. It seems to be just happening automatically. I don't think he's enacting it. You know, look at him. He's asking on this. And then when you put it all together, he's like, what are your quarters like? Like, it could almost be like super creepy if you put it all together, you know? And then of course she gives us the whole, well, I'm an ensign. My quarters aren't very big.
Like, right. He's asking her what her room looks like. I'd like to come see what your room looks like.
So the whole thing is like, even though you know people are kind of into this little romance thing, the stuff going on here with Jack makes it a little creepy. But
I mean, to be fair, he even says, "I'd like to love to hang out sometime if you're." No, he's been with his mom for like 24 years on a ship.
That would make anyone want to like hook up with the first girl.
That's like prison, right? And then this pretty girl with a nice smile, is giving you eyes. You're like, oh, okay. All right, cool.
Or not giving you eyes, and you're just like, yeah, or whatever.
There's no holodeck on our little medical ship, you know?
I don't know why you just said that. What was like?
You know why I said that. You know why I said that. That's why. That's why you're questioning it. Because if there was a holodeck on that ship, what else do you need?
You go full Barkley? Is that what you're saying?
You go full Barkley. I'm so glad holodecks don't exist because I would never leave.
All right. Keep going here. Keep going.
All right. My bad. Yeah, and that's
so we get the scene where it happens, you know, then his eyes turn red and she's like creeped out. He sees the vines down the corridor.
Yeah, that is a cool shot, by the way. I'm actually gonna upvote this. Okay.
Now we're on the bridge. Jack is trying to talk to Picard, but we have some other things going on. Apparently, I think this is the moment where they keep getting these incoming sub messages, and they keep ignoring them because it's basically Starfleet vessels trying to hunt them down. But then they realize they get a code from one of them that's like, I think
a compromise code.
What was that? What it was? A compromise?
Yeah.
A compromise code?
It was when an officer is sending it, but it's under distress.
Right. They called it something very specific, though. They have been... Yeah, it's a compromised prefix code is what they called it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's a signal, and they realize, oh, wait a sec, this is coming from Riker. And it's coming from the Shrike. Oh, my God, Vadic has Riker. So that's how they figure it out.
That's awesome. So Riker's alive. Don't worry, guys. He's not a changeling yet.
Or, I don't know. I don't know why you just said that, but okay.
Because that's indicating that he's setting the compromise code, which that's something only he would know. The changeling version of him wouldn't know that.
That's a good point. Yeah. So we know that whatever's sending that. Well, no, that's not true. If they got to him, he could have found out about it could be, because if they got to him, just like they got to Tuvok about the Kal-toh, he could learn about that code.
Yeah, but Kal-toh is different than like secret Starfleet codes. I feel like that can come up in casual conversation. So let's say you're talking to Tuvok in the mess hall. And you're like, oh, you played Kal-toh with 7, huh? Indeed, I did. She beat me frequently.
But that's not the way they intimidated. They made it sound like they took Tuvok and got that information out of him. So could they get this out of Riker?
I don't know if you could get...
And changelings know stuff. It's not just from what you learn talking to them. Like, they get knowledge somehow, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I saw a lot of people talking about that, and a lot of people are on the fence. We don't know 100% how the changeling link works.
Well, we're going to go into that more some other time.
Yeah. Son of John for 999. Thank you, Son of John. Question for the episode. What is Jack Crusher? Who is the big bad? Vadic's talk to the hand.
Talk to the hand.
Yeah. Are they going to do a Genesis on the body of Picard with Jack's DNA? Project Phoenix, anyone? Ooh.
Good. All good. Actually, those are all really good questions, because we do have a lot of those. And I think that's what's cool about the season. There's only 3 more episodes left, and there's still so many questions. So we know that number one, we know that they don't leave any stone unturned, right? We've said that already. Right. So you're going to get answers to all your questions in the next 3 episodes.
Everything's hyperlinked, right? They were partially telepathic in DS9.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe we'll learn more about that. Maybe we'll do a separate video going into it. I'm not sure, but in this scene right here, Jack is basically having this thing. He's telling Picard, look, why don't we just like give me up so I can get Riker back, so we can get Riker back. Riker was good to me. I'm not worth it. I'm worthless. Like, I've always had like a bad life, or, I've always felt like something was wrong with me. It's just not worth, like, just give them to me. Give me to them.
Yeah. And I'm going to upvote this, because this part of his character right here is first off, it's classic. I'm not worth anything. I'm worthless. I am the unlikely. I am the aren't. And use me to nullify the people who are, right? That mentality is what shows that regardless of how he feels about himself, he is worthy.
Right. His character, he's a multi-level, there's so many layers to his character. He's not just a straw man. That's what's great about this character. A lot of people are like, oh, Picard's son. I mean, Jack's bringing game to the table,
right?
And we have to appreciate that in all of these scenes that we get. And basically Picard tells him, look, none of this is your fault, and then it gives Picard this idea. He now has a plan on how to get Vadic.
Okay. Plus, also Jack thinks he's dying. Like, does he see?
Well, he's got the disease.
Yeah, he's got the disease that Picard has, but does he also see that Picard lived until he was in his 90s?
I don't know. It's tough when you get bad news. Like, sometimes everybody's different. Like, Picard internalized it, right, and said, whatever, I'm going to go about my life. Some other people might be more like, oh my God, my life's over. So it's tough to say.
I gotta say, all I'm saying is if my 90-year-old grandfather was like, look, I have cancer and I'm gonna die in a couple of years, and you got the same thing, I'm like, oh, cool. So I got to like 90s.
Well, but Jack's also having all these weird things happen to him. So maybe he thinks like,
maybe it's accelerating.
Right. Because granted, he's having some weird things happen. So that's unexplainable.
That makes sense. That's a good point. That's a good point. He probably thinks he's dying faster. All right.
So we end up in, now what's funny, we don't typically get this, but in this episode, it actually gave us a title as to where they were, because we see the Titan. It looks like it's been disabled right here.
Mm-hmm.
The title is Open Space Alpha Quadrant. That surprised me a little bit to see that. Like we had earlier, the shipyard. Normally you wouldn't have like a location just when you're out in the middle of space.
Yeah. That's
but
a good point.
That was included.
Yeah, it's like they want you to. It's almost like they want you to know they're in the Alpha Quadrant.
Well, I think they also want you to know that they've moved. Maybe they were concerned that if they showed the ship like this, the last one we saw when they were in the shipyard or in the wreckage, maybe they wanted to see that they had moved, and maybe that's why that exists.
I see. All right, and apparently the Titan's warp core is offline. Emergency power only.
Yeah, so Picard really went through. Yes, Picard really set it up, because they even created a subspace message, a pretend subspace message from another Starfleet vessel somehow. I'm not sure how they did it, but they were able to do that to help trick Vadic into thinking that they were, come get him.
Yeah, come get me.
They also mention a Vulcan warbird, which in this they mentioned that some of the radiation or something coming from the disturbance could be from some Vulcan warbird nearby.
Is that the VSS Taplana? Is that what it's saying?
Is that what it says there?
I don't know. It says VSS Taplana. Yeah. That's cool.
Vulcan, yeah, makes sense.
All right. All right. So here we go. Shrike is here. The Shrike versus the Titan.
Yeah. So they decide to board. They've got, and right away, this is great. Like they come on board and then she looks up and she's like, oh, and like Jack's right in front of her. Exactly what she wants.
Oh, hello, Jack. Good to see you again.
There is this weird, like, she almost tries to like soothe him, or it's almost like she's trying to tell him, look, you need to come to this better place with me.
I thought you'd be taller.
It's really, I thought you'd be tall. That was actually a funny line, meaning his reputation precedes him.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she tries to take him, and he's like, "Nah, I'm good. I'm out. I'm taking off."
So they set the trap, and their goal here is basically to force field everybody, since they actually do have power, and they successfully managed to do it. They trap everybody. They trap Vadic. In the process, Jack and Sydney get trapped, and you've got these changeling people around them, and they aren't able. Geordi isn't able to beam them out because Lore has taken control of the transporter system.
Lore.
That Lore.
All right. Hang on, Sydney. We're going to transport you out of there. I love
that.
Geordi.
Kind of sounded like him a little bit.
Yeah, I try to emulate voices. I'm not very good at it, though.
No, it was good.
All right.
There's the scene from the. Did you see the scene from the trailer? Yeah. It was Lore.
It's great. Yeah, it's great. I love it. I'm up playing that just because even though I've already seen that, I still liked it.
I know we've seen it so many times. Yeah, we got to pretend like we haven't. I voted for me too, because you're right. It was a great scene. You realize, wait a sec, we don't have enough trouble. Vadic's trying to take over the ship. We have changelings all over the place. Mm-hmm. Now we got to deal with Lore.
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
This is great. I love this scene. So this is another upvote for me. Beverly comes in and she like breaks out her phaser. Like she's like a mama bear that's pissed. Yeah. Right. This is the person, the lady who's been trying to like kill her son. And you can see that from Beverly, you're getting this like, how she feels. Like she's balancing the fact that she's supposed to do no harm. Like she says here, I took an oath, to I just want to kill this thing.
Yeah.
And Vadic seems not very perplexed to be trapped right now.
Right. Yeah, Vadic is in control.
Well, she doesn't. Well,
in her mind, she is not.
In her
trapped.
mind, she is. Yeah.
Right.
Now, what's interesting is I'm not sure why she was so calm because, yeah. Anyways, we'll get there.
Right. And that's when he said, "To make a near perfect double of me."
Yeah. So Picard does this. This is actually a really great thing. So they decide they're going to like interrogate her, right? And Picard's like, I know exactly what you guys are doing. He's got this whole like thing, like, I know, you're going to clone me so you can get into Frontier Day. Like he thinks he's got it figured out. And then we get the BAM. We get the wham, which is oh wait, there's a changeling story here.
Mm-hmm.
And at first, when you're going through it, you're like, you get this like scene of her, or you get this scene of like test tubes, and you're like, what the heck's going on? And it's breaking back and forth between what's going on with Geordi and Lore and Data and Jack and Sydney, and then what's happening here in this room. And then we get the story of Vadic. And this is a great upvote for me. This character goes from being a mustache twirling villain, right, to a full-fledged, layered character who is still the villain,
right?
But we understand why.
Right.
And the backstory is that essentially during the Dominion War, Starfleet Section 31, I guess we should be more specific, Section 31 captured changelings, 10 of them, Vadic and 9 others, and basically took them and did experiments on them. Tried to, injected them with things, tortured them, gave them pain. And what they were trying to do was they were trying to create a weapon for Section 31 / Starfleet,
right?
Which basically they could just, use this to change into any species and cause chaos. Like that was the goal of it. And so we now know why Vadic is like mentally broken, because during that torture, she was basically, tortured to the point of like insanity. She takes the reason why she looks the way she does is she took the look of her torturer. Awesome. So the doctor who was doing the stuff was, this character, what she looks like. Apparently that character was also whistling Three Blind Mice, because that's why she's constantly whistling it. And so she remembers all of those. It's like this strange PTSD that's happened and occurred. Right.
Right.
So we find out it's not just a faction of changelings that were like, boo hoo, the Dominion War, we didn't like that it ended the way it did. It was actually that Starfleet is the reason why, was actually torturing these changelings. And it's the reason that they're advanced. Now that they can hold their shape because of the tests they were doing on them, they used human DNA apparently and infused with the changelings. And now they have the ability to be even more human when they change.
And that's why the changelings look so different when they change. They no longer look like that weird metallic thing. That's why they have this new form, because it's like there's human DNA in there. It's fascinating. Foxhound 4099, Vadic and giant henchmen immune to full phasers?
So that's a good question. They were. I don't know if they had them on kill. I don't know what the settings of the phasers were. I don't know why Beverly. I know that Beverly and Jean-Luc were struggling with whether or not to kill her. And I think they had kind of come to the agreement that it would be better for her to be gone because, A, she's going to keep trying to kill her son, and B, there's no redeeming this character, right? And so I felt like that's where they were at. But was the phasers on kill? I don't know, because they did hit her when she was sliding away. We'll try to find out. Asking one of the production people, Terry or Chris or somebody, see if we can find out what the answer is, because I did actually have that same question as well.
Interesting. Yeah, I would have I would make the worst, like if I was playing an action hero, right, or a villain, I would make everything I did would make a horrible story, because I would just immediately kill whoever was in front of me. There'd be no dialogue, there'd be no exposition. I would just be like, oh, was I supposed to ask him questions? Damn it.
Well, I wonder, I don't know. I know that it seems like they experimented on all the changelings, but they definitely experimented on this one. So does Vadic have maybe some more, is a more powerful changeling than the others? I don't know.
I think Vadic wasn't Vadic able to like give her changes to other changelings, though, right? There was like 9 changelings, I believe, on the station.
Right, 9 other ones. So that, yeah.
So maybe
so
she's able to merge with the other changelings, and their physiology changes too.
That's what it seems like. So maybe there are 10 changelings that are a little more powerful than the others.
Right. Interesting. All right. Chaos. He loves the chaos.
Yeah. So now Lore's taken over the transporters. He's taken over the force fields. Like, he has control over the systems, and they want to know why. And it's because Lore loves chaos, and we know that. We actually get a really great speech from Brent Spiner just before he lowers the force fields, that basically says, you, me, the changelings, we're all of us are just trying to survive, and he says, let me even the playing field,
Yeah, it's great.
And he drops the force fields.
Oh, I love this scene, and I'm gonna upvote this.
I noticed you upvote every time he has red eyes.
No. It's just when cool stuff happens.
Oh, the scene. I got it. Okay, got it. What happens next, you're saying?
Right. Yes.
Well, the last time he had red eyes, you said the same thing. You're like, oh my God, I love this. I'm going to upvote it. So I wasn't sure.
Because every time he has red eyes, something cool happens. Sue me.
Okay, that's fair.
All right. Actually, this wasn't the scene. This was setting up the scene. Let me take my upvote away. I'll wait for the scene.
Hey, good job right there. Look at that actress. She looks terrified.
Jack!
She really looks terrified.
All right. And this is when she goes into the story that you just mentioned. What's funny is her human form looks so much like
less evil,
like way less evil. Like, it's the same actress. It's the same actress, right?
Yeah.
But for some reason, her human form looks like sort of like benign. This is the scene right here where she's like gets taken over.
It would have been interesting to show how, like, I mean, I know we're just doing a backstory, but it would be interesting to see how were they containing her all this time, the changeling all this time, and then all of a sudden the changeling gets the upper hand. It would have been interesting to see how that happened.
Foxhound for $1.99. But has anyone asked Vadic, what is a woman? I don't think she knows.
It's funny. The changelings woman, man. I know there was something that goes back to DS9 that talks about whether they have gender or stuff like that. It was kind of complicated, but there were apparently, some sort of gender identity.
I mean, wouldn't they be like the definition of they, them?
Yeah. The Great Link, absolutely.
Like, changelings is the definition of non-binary.
Yeah, I think you're right. Well, it should be, yeah.
I mean, it should be. In fact, from now on, when someone says they're non-binary and their pronouns are they, them, I'm just going to assume they're a changeling. It makes sense.
Brian, changelings aren't real.
Fuck, really? Damn it, bro.
Q, changelings.
25 years. 25 years. God.
Yeah.
Every
Star Trek
time.
isn't really the future. Just
No, yes it is.
all right, I'm not going to die on that hill with you. Let's keep going.
All right. I'm going back and you can go back here. Okay. Sorry, Shane blew all that already, so shield regulators are failing.
You were just slow on it.
I guess you're right. I guess you're right. All right, this is the part you're talking about. When and this, I'm upvoting this moment with LaForge when he's talking to Data.
Yes, me too. Upvote it, please.
Yes, and how you talk about how he saved him, he made him better. It was.
I mean, this is like we said, the emotions. Like, we didn't get to see. I mean, Geordi was a little more emotional of a character back on TNG than some of the other characters. Like, we got to see his frustrations and some of the things, like some of the personal things he went through. Mm-hmm. He wasn't afraid to wear his emotions on his sleeve, but this is like even more advanced. Like, we never got his true feelings about Data. I mean, he shares it here. When you died, he's talking to Data through Lore. I love this. Lore's looking at him, responding to him, but he's talking to Data right through Lore.
Right.
Trying to reach him, saying, you made me a better man. It killed me when you died. I'm a better father because of you. I mean, like, dude, like, this is so emotional when you think about all the journeys that they went on together, all the time they spent together back in, the TNG days, and when you think of that relationship and then how, we actually get a resolution of how a character feels about the other one in a deep, meaningful way. It's just beautiful.
Yeah, and it was LeVar Burton, some of his best acting so far I've ever seen.
Oh yeah, since Roots, 100%.
Yeah, he really like. Sometimes in TNG he came off as a little whiny, right?
Maybe even better than Roots, bro. This might be his best acting.
This
ever.
is like his best. This is the best I've seen this actor. Really, really well done. Really good stuff. And I mean, Brent Spiner kills it too. Like that cold.
I mean, he's
stare.
just totally as Laurie's like, I don't care about anything you're saying. You know, it's very, yeah.
It's like almost like these guys have had 30 years almost to perfect these characters, and here we are again.
I wonder if that's the case.
I wonder if that's the case, Shane. Man, them getting this like last romp, that's gotta feel so good.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure the money's good too, whatever, right? But like imagine after all this time, like one more time, I get to finally perfect this character.
And you can see it. Like you can see that was what they were thinking. Like this is my chance to put a exclamation point on the legacy of this character. Mm-hmm. And they all like just went for it.
Yeah, so good.
Nobody mailed it in.
No one. That's when the force fields go up. Now, this is the scene I'm talking about, I think, right? Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So, Jack takes over Sydney's body, I guess?
Yeah. Yeah, his eyes go red, then her eyes go red.
And she fights for him. He fights for her, which was awesome.
He does the movements on his side, and then she does them because she would have died. I mean, that was his way of saving her life because she's done.
That is so cool. Like I don't think I've ever seen that before. Like I'm trying to think of like, is there another movie or TV show that did this? Like you can see the person. Like I can't.
Marvel. Well, yeah. So there was a character in the Marvel movie that came after Thanos. What was that called again?
After Endgame.
After Endgame, what was that movie? The about the
Black
7
Widow?
or 8? No, the 7 or 8 Marvel people that were.
Oh, the Eternals.
Eternals. So Eternals actually had a character that could mind control people and make them do things.
Yeah, I don't like that movie. I don't even remember that.
Well, but that's the other time I've seen it done. So.
Oh well, this was really rad. Yeah, she was definitely gonna die. He takes over her brain or whatever, and he basically fights through her. It's great, really cool, really. Cool
I thought
scene.
it was awesome. Upvote for me too. It was so great.
Yeah, really, really rad scene. And this is when Data is finally starting getting control of his body again.
Yeah, he did a really good job, like, switching over, going back and forth from lore to Data. That was really great.
And Sydney even asked Jack, "Were you in my head?" And he's like, "You gotta trust me."
Yes, yeah.
I would have a hard time trusting him after that, even if he saved my life. I'm just being real.
If somebody took control of your body and was able to do whatever they wanted, that would be troubling, to say the least.
Sounds problematic.
Right.
The formula they're exposed to contain Thelium-847. We can track them. All right.
Yeah, so that's important. So apparently whatever experiments were being done on them gave them something that now, and this is foreshadowing, I think, about, a way for them to do what Beverly said earlier in the episode, which was let's use their uniqueness to find a way to defeat them. Right. And now we're seeing one of those options happening in real time.
Yeah. All right. Now we get this Shaw moment.
Shaw was taking out changelings, and then the 2 Starfleet personnel next to him get shot. I don't know if they're killed or injured or what.
Dude, this one I was like, no.
I know. I was like, right.
I was screaming at the TV, bro. I was just so concerned because like he was still gonna chase after these. Like he's way outnumbered, clearly outgunned, and he's by himself. Yeah. And I'm like, no, turn around, Todd. Go back to the turbo lift.
Well, he ended up in the turbo lift. No, he ended up in the turbo lift.
He ended up in the turbo lift. That was the wrong place to be, apparently.
Yeah.
Oh, they got her.
Yep, they got the drop on him. All the changelings they took over the bridge. And now Vadic says open a channel because she's going to talk to her crew. She's
right, because the Titan now belongs to her.
Yes, the Titan is now mine. She even calls herself the captain. What are some of the other things she says? It's very interesting. She talks about how she's going to. Yes, she anoints herself the captain of the USS Titan. She addresses the ship and notifies the crew that she'll be taking Jack Crusher where he belongs. And Jack will learn who he truly is.
All right.
Interesting. That project that was happening to Vadic and the other changelings during the Dominion War was called Project Proteus, by the way.
Project. Okay. This is a really good. I saw this theory on Reddit too, Dore. Thelium 847, species 8472. Hello. Hello.
That's great.
That's cool. Okay. And I'm telling you, I was really concerned about Shaw. I'm glad he made it through.
He was bloody and everything. Yeah, it was not good.
Yeah. I'm glad he made it through. Woo.
Yeah.
All right. And that's it. She is now the captain of the USS Titan. And
yeah, so I love how it ended with that. It's time you learned who you are. So, we all kind of want to know who he is. So that was a good thing. So what are some of the questions that we have here? Let's see. So Vadic, of course, got transformed from the mustache twirling villain. She's a complex character. His motivations finally make sense.
That's a big deal because, for a few episodes, you guys saw me like, hey, she seems one-dimensional, right?
Right. She was just like a little bit crazy, but now we understand why she's crazy, right? We also got Geordi's heartfelt pleas to reach Data through lore. It was heart-wrenching. In like we said earlier, probably LeVar Burton's best acting. Yeah, we had this just wonderful experience. Like I said, losing Worf, Raffi, Riker, and Deanna this episode, I didn't even feel like they were gone because everything else was so good that I didn't spend any time going, man, I wish Worf was here, or dang it, I wish Riker was here. And arguably, those are the two people I love seeing most on screen. But I thought this episode was so like tight and action-packed and interesting that I didn't for 1 second feel like it was slow to where I could even stop to think about it. Right. What about you?
No, yeah, I had the same feeling. There's a lot of information, but it was still really good. And I have so many more questions. I can't wait for the next episode. I'm raring to go, ready to rock.
Yes. So here's some of the unanswered questions we have left. So what is Jack's role in all of this? How can Vadic reveal who he really is? Like, how does she have that kind of control? Will Worf and Raffi show up and save the team, or is this the end? Did the Changelings win? Of course not, right? Who will win the battle over the new android, Data or Lore? Who's going to win there? So there's a lot of things that we have going forward. Who's the evil talk to the hand Gordon Ramsay? Yeah. I want to cook some steak. I don't know.
It's Tuvix. So yeah, we know that already.
Not Tuvix. Okay.
Anyway, yeah, so that's our official score is 9. Pretty good. We're stoked. And let us know what you guys thought about this particular episode in the comment section down below. And when you're on the way there, hit the subscribe button.